All right, welcome back to episode two, I believe, of the Double Play podcast. So we get the camera situated and the tech working properly. Today, the winter meetings of baseball has ended, but all the free agents haven't quite signed, but some of the big ones have signed pretty big deals. Today, we're talking about the correlation between the winter meetings, baseball, and insurance, which is kind of the theme of this overall podcast. I have my co-host Adam Bursan with me on today. Adam, say hi and tell me what you thought. Cubs signed a few guys, Philly signed a few guys. The Padres are drunk spending. What do you think?
Yeah, you just never know. You never know. I know the Cubs they signed Bellinger. He had kind of a down year last year, so they might have got him at a bit of a discount. It was just a 1 year contract. So really, he's kind of like that bet on yourself kind of mode,
Yeah.
where he's got the 1 year contract. He's going to bet on himself. He's going to go out there, and I would assume he'll probably have a pretty good year. He's a left-handed batter. He's playing in a bit of a smaller ballpark. Um, the wind, if the wind's blowing out at Wrigley, that'll definitely help.
Mhm.
But honestly, right there, I could see that kind of relate to the insurance business with people where, sometimes you just have to bet on yourself.
Yeah.
You got to bet on yourself and take risks and see what happens. Get out there and work leads. And it's all, like we talk about trial and error, figure out what works, figure out what doesn't. But, if you go out there with that attitude that you're going to succeed and you don't have that fear of failure in the back of your mind, you'll end up having a pretty good week, which leads to good months and good years. So
Absolutely. I've seen plenty of agents that don't bet on themselves. They get their license, they fill out contracting. We do some one-on-one training with them, get them ready, and then they don't buy any leads and then they don't go to work or they don't really give themselves more than a week's effort before they say to themselves, this isn't for me. They come up with some excuse to tell you, or they just
yep.
disappear altogether. They just never bet on themselves at the most crucial part of their early career.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. Like we talk about with baseball, that these 1 year deals. I think Anthony Rizzo was kind of the same thing last year with the Yankees.
Mhm.
It was a 1 year contract. I think I can't remember if he re-signed or not, or if he's still a free agent with them, or from them. But yeah, he ended up having a great year last year, and kind of the same thing. He went out there. He got traded to the Yankees, and then he enjoyed playing for him. He bet on himself, hoping that he'd have a good year, and he did. So, like you talked about with leads, there's no guarantee you're going to make sales. But without a lead, what are you going to do? You're going to walk around a neighborhood, just knock on doors. Time is money.
Mhm.
Heck, you place a lead order, one sale is pretty much going to pay for your leads.
Yeah.
Hopefully 1 to 2 sales. After that, everything else is just profits. So yeah, you're right. Too many agents, maybe they come in motivated, but then they don't do their part when it comes to ordering leads and kind of staying on track with that. And consistency is probably the most important part of this whole thing. You got to have that steady flow of leads coming in every week.
Mhm.
And I need to get on track myself. I'm kind of back out in the field writing business, and
Mhm.
I haven't consistently been out in the field for probably, oh God, 3 or 4 years, I bet. So I'm kind of getting back in the swing of things, but honestly, I kind of feel like it's like anything else. Bowling, golf, things like that. It's like, to me, I used to bowl a ton when I was little. I can still go bowling now and bowl just as good as I did when I was in 8th grade.
Yeah.
Uh, Maybe even better. Same with golf. Just pick it back up. Insurance, kind of same thing. I get back out in the field, I'm picking it right back up
Mhm.
where I left off, and so far so good. I'm putting up quite a bit of premium this week, so pretty excited to kind of be back out in the field and seeing people and helping people, and yeah, just kind of getting back to basics for a little bit.
One of the best ways to teach is to be at the top of your game as well. One of the best ways to lead is to show people that you can do it as well. And I love the fact that you often describe yourself as the player's coach. And what is a player's coach? Is a guy that could probably take the field and play along with his team. From a management perspective, I think that's some of the best content you give. I often say in baseball, there's no bad 1 year deal. And what that is ownership and leadership taking a bet on a guy on a limited basis, thinking he's going to do great and he's going to help our team. He's going to do great and we're going to trade him. He's going to suck and we'll just be over it pretty quickly. Do you ever see when you're out there looking to build, recruit, and train somebody that you're willing to bet on because you just see kind of the potential in a limited deal early on?
Well, yeah, most definitely. Again, I mean, I think that, when you're looking to bring somebody on, especially someone that has a history of success, you got to do what you can to, to help them, to support them, to keep them happy. I mean, contracts is one thing. I think most agents are looking for more than just the biggest contract out there. They want to have maybe a little bit of support, a little bit of camaraderie. It could be a lonely business out there. And, but yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, you got to do what you can to keep your people happy. You also got to realize that you could do as much as you can for somebody and they still might leave you. Mm-hmm. So you really can't get comfortable. You can't get comfortable. Production could be looking good and you have a heavy hitter. And then out of nowhere, they just decide they want to do something else. Yeah. I mean, in baseball, heck, you could, the Cubs signing Bellinger, the Phillies signing, what's his name? Turner?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, they're spending millions of dollars for these guys. I mean, what happens if they get hurt and they're out for the season in spring training? It's like they got to regroup. I mean, you always got to plan ahead for the next move. And I think from a management standpoint in insurance, consistent and constant recruiting is very important. I think that you can't slow down with recruiting. You get comfortable, you stop recruiting people, and it's like the whole thing can just fall apart.
Yeah.
So, like I said, you always got to prepare for your next move. And I think in baseball, they do the same thing. I mean, they're always preparing. I mean, heck, they're building farm systems. Mm-hmm. They're building up farm systems, guys going through the minors, preparing for the future, because we know that not everybody's going to stay.
No. And here's the thing. Chase Utley, what you might think of as a career Philly, ended his years as a Dodger. Cole Hamels pitched a perfect game. Next game is traded to the Rangers, eventually played for the Cubs for a little bit.
Yep.
Ryan Howard ended his career not really as a Philly. He ended his career in a kind of a quiet note in the minor leagues, realizing his time had ended. A lot of times people don't spend their whole career like a Derek Jeter with the same team. So you have to actively be looking to build your team, service your team, build your farm system, continue to maintain that both sides of the fence.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, it's amazing how much sports has changed, not just baseball, but all sports with, I mean, the loyalty. I wish that players were more loyal to their teams. I mean, to me, honestly, I think agents, they maybe get involved a little bit too much with that. Sometimes players could be really happy, but even though, and they may be close to free agency, and it's like the agent is the one who's like, no, you got to test the free agent market. You got to test the free agent market. I think that happened a lot with the Cubs, with a lot of those guys that ended up leaving. It's like the Cubs, they offered some of those guys some contracts, but the agents just say, no, you really got to test that free agent market. Well, that's when those players end up getting traded, because then it's like the team feels like they at least like to get something for them.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's really, baseball, it really has just turned into so much more of a business with these players. And I really wish that, like I said, I really wish that there were more players that were loyal, that would stick with one team their whole career. I mean, I can't even think right now of a player currently in baseball that has been with one team like their entire career. You just don't see much of it anymore.
Let's look at the Aaron Judge contract. Aaron Judge, I don't know a ton about the AL outside of the Orioles, maybe a little bit. I don't know a ton about the Yankees, although I probably should. They've always been good. Aaron Judge started his career with the Yankees, just signed a monster 300 plus $1 million deal, and is going to finish his career as a Yankee, even though very likely the Giants probably offered more money. The Padres are handing money out like candy. They probably offered more money. Judge decided to sign a contract that's basically going to finish his time with the Yankees if that's how it works.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. And again, I mean, there's still no guarantees to that. As he gets older, I mean, you just never know. I mean, I don't know what kind of clauses are in the contract. If I'm sure there's probably some sort of no trade stuff in there, but still, as he gets older, there's still no guarantee that he's going to be there his whole career. I mean, maybe he will, and that would be awesome because, yeah, I mean, there's again, loyalty just really isn't much of a thing these days. It is pretty cool that he took less money to stay with the Yankees, where he could have gotten more other places. Trey Turner, same thing. I heard that I can't remember who they offered him a bigger contract. I think somewhere out west, maybe, but he wanted to stay on. The Padres, but he wanted to stay on the East Coast. So pretty cool too. I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, what's the difference between 45 million and 40 million a year?
I just dropped 100 grand by accident. Oops. At that point, it's generational wealth, as we would say in the business, as FU money. It's just incredible opportunities. And when it comes to agents, sometimes let's transition over to a conversation about big time agents. They're successful, they're good at what they do. They get so good they don't have to work nearly as hard as they did when they started. But then sometimes these really, really successful agents, they lose consistency. They forget what works. They get distracted by shiny objects. They lose loyalty to what taught them to be good. What do you see happen when you find somebody who really figures this all out, but all of a sudden it starts to fall apart for them?
Well, I think, again, I mean, maybe you just got to kind of go back to the basics a little bit and kind of figure out what you were doing previously to kind of what you're doing now. I mean, you can even go back to even a presentation. And I mean, a lot of times you might switch something up and not even realize that you're switching things up. All of a sudden your sales go down. So, that ordering leads, like you said, people maybe get comfortable. All of a sudden after their first year, renewals are starting to come in more. So they see additional income, and rather than going out and working to make more money, well, they're maybe a little bit more comfortable now because they have that back end commission and the second year money coming in as well. So, but yeah, I mean, I just think a lot of it is just kind of going back to basics. And again, I talked a little bit last week about that too, just self-evaluation. And just kind of figuring things out and losing the ego and breaking yourself down a little bit to kind of figure out what you changed and what needs to be fixed.
Yeah, I find it interesting too. Comfort kills, and a lot of times agents get comfortable. And I've always operated a little strangely. I knew exactly how much I needed to write to pay my bills. 5K was the minimum goal. And I knew from the very beginning that if I put 5K on the books, I'd have enough money in the bank to pay all the bills. And I never even looked at my bank account on a regular basis. Now, I saw deposits would come into my email. I would keep track of my business, but I wouldn't obsess over my account. Like, the money was there. And I kept that same mentality of week one, month one, year one into year two, into year three, into year six. And I don't need to write 5K this week. I didn't need to write 15K, but it just becomes that mentality that maintains it. So again, I didn't check my bank account this morning. I know the money's there because I wrote the business to pay the bills. It's the comfort of, all right, I've got 7 grand in the bank. Man, I've got more than I've ever got in the bank. Well, I have 10,000. Let me go buy a car I can't afford. And before you know it, they got comfortable. They hit a wave of adversity and they found their way failing out of the business.
Yeah, I just think that, I don't know. I think you got to have that attitude. You just got to do whatever it takes to go out and make money. And not slowing down. We don't know what next week is going to bring. We don't know what next month is going to bring. What if things shut down again? And it's more difficult to get out in the field.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, that can affect sales. I mean, telesales. Yeah. I mean, it's an option, but to me, if you're comfortable out in the field and you're good out in the field, you need to stay out in the field. And if things shut down, it does make things a little bit more difficult. We don't know what tomorrow, or like I said, or next week or next year, whatever is going to bring. I don't know. When I'm out in the field, it's like I'm so focused, and all I'm focusing on is doing whatever's necessary to make money. Like, I don't spend a lot of time in my car. The only time I spend in my car is when I'm driving. I mean, I'm always looking at my leads. I'm looking at the map to figure out who can I go see next. And I mean, it's just nonstop, all day. You know, I don't, if you're sitting in your car piddling around, you're not making money. So, you know, get as much out of your time while you're out in the field. And, you know, like I said, you just kind of have that attitude. You just got to do whatever it takes to make money. And, yeah, I don't think too much about how much I have to make. I prefer to just, like I said, just nonstop, just keep going and going and going. I don't want to go home early, kind of, because I just have that attitude. I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring.
Yeah. I said in our training this morning, operate with a sense of not just urgency, but here's a good synonym for urgency is it's immediacy. It's operate like you don't know if you're going to be able to be in the field tomorrow. Yeah, I had this weird fear, not only early on in my career, what happens if I couldn't go to work tomorrow and I couldn't write business? And I got in an accident and I was injured for 6 weeks and I just couldn't make money. What am I going to do? I worked so hard that if that were to happen, everything would work itself out. Adam, how many agents in early 2020 met an early demise to their career because they weren't ready for a wave of adversity that was early COVID?
Yeah, most definitely. And I think that a lot of people, they had to make that transition. I think a lot of companies had to make transitions. Because so many companies, so many carriers, whatever you want to call it. I've always said companies. I know most people say carriers, but I think a lot of different companies and carriers, they had to make adjustments. So many of them had no interest in ever doing telesales. The quality of business historically just is not as good. And just a lot of places didn't want to mess with it. But when that came around in 2020, there were really no other options. It was either you join in and allow the agents to do telesales, or those agents are going to take their business somewhere else. Yeah. So, I mean, I think everybody had to make adjustments. I mean, heck, baseball, if you want to relate, I mean, they had to make adjustments. I mean, 2020 was just a total mess. I mean, you wonder how those organizations made any money. None. Without having any fans in the stands. And I mean, they're not selling any concessions. I mean, God, they must have totally took a huge loss. I mean, all of these different organizations. It could be why the Cubs slowed down with wanting to get players last year and the year prior with wanting to spend money. So, yeah.
But I remember plenty of agents, either they had enough money and they had time to figure out what they were going to do. They had no money and next week was an immediate problem. Or there were agents like ourselves that had stable income, stable renewals, stable book of business. And I remember in that early part of 2020, looking at my budget, dividing it by how much I had saved. And I said, all right, we will have a problem in blank amount of time. But until then, let's just figure it out. Let's get on the phone. Let's call some people. Let's take a deep breath. I have X budget plus X savings equals how much time before we got a problem. And where that all came from is working hard, being consistent, saving money, living within your means, having a big time successful agent effort, but not operating like you're making $400 million. Like, let's just be real and live within a reasonable amount of means sometimes too.
Yeah, I just think, again, a lot of it just goes back to that money mindset and just figuring out whatever's necessary to make money. I mean, I remember first thing I did when everything shut down in 2020, I pulled out my list of policyholders. I mean, those were people that already had a relationship with me. They knew who I was. And I knew that, I mean, heck, I hate talking on the phone, honestly. I mean, unless I'm talking with agents and helping them or recruiting and stuff. But for selling, I prefer sitting down with people. But I knew that I had to sell over the phone. So I might as well call people that already have a relationship, that know me, that are comfortable with me. And right there, I mean, again, I'm thinking about what can I do to make money right now? And that was the way that I did it. You call your policyholders, you increase coverage. Great way to make money snap your fingers and it's not too hard to make a few sales that way. So, and then from there, I got more comfortable selling over the phone, kind of going through my processes and start taking leads then and working leads over the phone. So, it's just, again, to me, it's all about just kind of having that mindset, that money mindset of doing whatever's necessary and figuring out ways to make money.
It's whatever it takes. I think sometimes people's problem is we all love to write notes during our stuff to stay on track. It's whatever it takes, but sometimes it's whatever excuse I can find too. Well, the leads were bad, the area was far, the people were cranky, the weather was cold. Whatever excuse oftentimes eliminates whatever it takes to get you to the money. I see that oftentimes with folks too. So forget the excuses, find out solutions to your problems instead. Adam, before we wrap up today, any other thoughts on today's topic, free agents, successful free agent deals that have led to multi-million-dollar deals in baseball and its correlation to our business?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I guess only thing is just, if you land a good agent, I maybe a broken record or a little bit repetitive, but just do what you can to keep them happy. Do what you can to keep them happy, but always continue to plan ahead for the future. Hope that they stay around. Do what you can that they'll want to stay around, but always continue to plan ahead for the future and plan that they won't be here forever. Yeah. If you're building and growing, that would be the advice that I'd give you, because it really sucks to lose good agents. And I mean, if you got to recruit 2 to 3 people to make up for one person's premium or even more, well, then you're not growing. So you got to just be consistent. And like I said, stick with it. And in the back of your mind, you just kind of got to realize that there's a chance that they won't be here forever. Just like in baseball, like I said, that's why they grow farm systems and put people in place to plan ahead for the future.
Absolutely. So again, thanks for watching episode 2, I believe, of the Double Play podcast. Like the video, comment below, and subscribe. If you have a topic you want us to cover, comment, let us know, and we'd be happy to cover it. And we appreciate you watching and helping us grow this channel, contribute to the community, and have some fun. Thanks for watching.
Sounds good. Thanks.